Hi guys, my name is Trisha and this is my final project. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to use SQ3R in your reading. So SQ3R is basically an abbreviation for survey, question, read, recite, and review. A way to kind of comprehend your reading better. The way it's beneficial is it helps people understand the text better and become more aware of what they're reading. Well, first off, survey would be something that you're going to be doing like before you start reading. So it's going to be like looking at like the title, the bolded stuff, the pictures, the like headings, just anything that's like stands out basically. So I'm going to kind of show you an example of surveying a reading. And it's going to be on this book, How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci by Michael J. Gelb. I found this passage, and before even reading all like the words and stuff, I found that we had like a heading, a title, kind of like a summary off to the side, and more like bolded words and stuff. And also on this side we have bullet points as well. So those are the kind of things that I'm going to want to look at while surveying the reading, because I'm not actually going to read this whole thing. I'm just going to kind of look at what the main idea is. All this stuff is just kind of like especially like the title and stuff is just going to kind of prepare me for what I'm about to read. These bullet points and stuff is like something that is going to describe what's in the reading basically. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the question part of SQ3R. So basically when you're questioning the reading, again, you're not actually reading yet. You're just kind of like going over things you already surveyed. So you're going to kind of turn the subtitles and the bullet points and the headings and the captions, you're going to turn those into questions. Like if we had a subtitle like the body metaphor, and that could mean a million different things. So I'm just going to question it. Does this mean that our body is more of a metaphor and that's how we have to treat it? Or like just basically you're just going to be writing questions about the things you've already surveyed. So you're kind of creating an interest in the reading subconsciously. And then also for the question part, you're basically going to ask yourself what you already know about the subject. So the body metaphor. I know a metaphor is comparing two things using like or as. The body metaphor is probably a figure of speech. Ask yourself what you already know about the things you've already surveyed and question those things. Now we are moving on to the 3 R's, and that is read, recite, and review. So I'm going to do the first one and I'm going to read the chapter now. Okay, I'm back. So this is actually really interesting to me. The title of the first paragraph was Contemplate Wholeness. And what I read about was asking yourself if you feel whole, and if you do, what to do about that. If you don't, what to do about that. Basically writing down and like demonstrating how you feel just so you can be conscious of it. And then we have the other paragraph called Family Dynamics, which is basically, again, you analyzing your dynamics in a series of questions, and your family's dynamics in a series of questions. So it was like basically telling you what the system dynamics is and giving you a list of questions to answer about everyone in your family and even yourself for the roles that you guys play. And then we have the body metaphor, which is use Leonardo's favorite metaphor, the human body, to further explore the dynamics of your family. And again, it's just asking questions and just kind of making you more aware and conscious of your place on this earth and in your family and with yourself. So I actually already gave you guys an example of me reciting what I read, and that was when I went over the chapter after I did the first R, which was read. And I verbally talked about what I learned. I tried to teach it to somebody else, which is very smart in reciting. And I also put a little summary into my own words as well. So now we are going to be moving on to the second R in the 3 R's, and that is recite. In order to recite the reading, you're going to basically ask yourself about what you just read, orally and like verbally ask yourself, so that way you get the sense of saying it, so that way you can remember it better. And then we have like also you're hearing yourself say it, so that's really beneficial. And then we have basically you summarizing in your own words what you just read, so that way you recall things better. So I actually already gave you guys an example of me reciting what I read, and that was when I went over the chapter after I did the first R, which was read. And I verbally talked about what I learned. I tried to teach it to somebody else, which is very smart in reciting. And I also put a little summary into my own words as well. Okay, so last but not least, we have the last R for the 3 R's, and that is review. What we have to review is basically the reading and the questions that we made in the first survey, and kind of comparing the questions that we had, so like what we already know to what we know now. All of this helps review and helps recall what we already read. So one of my questions was, what is the body metaphor? In this specific reading alone, the body metaphor is Leonardo's favorite metaphor, which is the body. It's basically just talking about what his favorite metaphor is and making it a title. The metaphor of the body is he's using the body as like a template, and giving every single thing in the body a name and a meaning. In this, some of the questions are, who is the head? Who is the heart? Is the head in balance with the body? And putting your family into those positions. So basically, like, who's the head of your family? Probably your dad. Who's the heart of your family? Probably your mom. So yeah, it's just basically putting all the stuff into comparison with your body and making it a metaphor. Okay, that concludes my SQ3R video. In fewer words, I would just say that surveying your reading is very important, because you need to be able to know what you're going to be reading, and you can ask yourself questions, which is very important, because then you can answer them in the end. Reading the material is always important and beneficial, and then reciting is a big one, because I feel like you need to be able to recall what you're saying and comprehend the reading in order to actually get a fully understanding of it. And then last is the review, which is always important, because you need to be able to keep that in your head and keep that information locked in. So hope you enjoyed my video.